Tēnā koe. To one viewer. Is it Josh again? It won't be because I have not seen you on Twitter. It'll be someone else. Oh, tēnā koe, hello to one. Tēnā kōrua, hello to two. One more person turns up, and I'll be able to say tēnā koutou, hello to all. Hi to my everyone. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Nick. Yeah. I had to get out of that thread. I was pissed off. I was really pissed off. I survived 9 years of national in the mental health system. Well, I was in the mental health system before that, but, you know. For Labour and the Greens to be no better than national is not a surprise, but still a disappointment. An incredibly deep disappointment, actually. Hello! Hi, Josh. Right. We are going to talk about The Secret and the secret-related things. And we're not going to talk about the failures of the New Zealand mental health system because I don't want to scream right now. Hey, what's up, John? Every interaction I've ever had with the New Zealand mental health system has been a kick of varying degrees in the guts. Yeah, we're going to change the subject. We're going to talk about the fear family and the good family and it would be a very disturbing video if I kind of went off on that. I don't think anyone really wants me to do that. Speaking of which, can you see that? It's a temporary tattoo that I got from internet. You can't see it. I'm waiting for the delay. Whatever, there's a picture of it on my Twitter. It's really pretty. I Think You Should Leave. I think it's so good. The woman who does the Santa Claus joke, I think is my favourite. Although I found a costume for a baby that was like exactly the Bart Harley Jarvis costume. And it was $5 and I was like, oh, I have $8 in my bank account right now. And I don't know anyone who would let me dress up their baby as Bart Harley Jarvis to call him a piece of shit for a video. This is the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life. So, if it's still there, you know, I might go back and get it. The horror that is the writing of R.L. Stine. The horror that he writes, of course. I would love to get out some of my other favourite point horror books to read to you guys, because they are all bonkers, but nothing really gets the... I don't know, something about the Fear Street sagas is just so gruesome. Like, he just loves the details of people's eyeballs popping out and stuff like that. So, let's see where we were up to. Oh, we have to plug in our phone. That's where we were up to. Yikes. Here we go. Fitz is still doing very well. I don't know if you guys saw, but on my Twitter, or on my YouTube, sorry, there's a video of Gummy Gum, The point horror books were a psyop to trick me into being awesome. And ending every chapter on a, ah! Oh, you're behind? Oh no. There's a video on my YouTube of Fitzy. Yes, he demanded his medicine in bed. He was just like, yeah, I want to eat it. I love my medicine. And I would take it away and be like, come on, go and have it in the living room. And he's just lying there like a little prince, being like, no. He didn't even stand up to eat it. I had to hold the thing, and he would just lie there eating his medicine. It was powerful, though. I'll give him that. It was very powerful. Okay. Nick, were you here last time? I don't really remember what happened. He's not even sick. He is fine. Does anyone remember what happened last time? I should, but I keep yawning. Fitzy is a prince, but he hates it when I sing Fitzes of the Universe at him. Even though he likes the movie Highlander. Swine flu. Oh, you got swine flu. Crazy. Yep, no, that's okay. It's all just a series of horrific events. Okay, basically, the Fear family have moved away since, Abigail died. Okay, so they've moved away. It's now 8 years later, 9 years later, something like that. Jonathan is 18, and now he is our teen romance protagonist. Oh, God. Okay, swine flu is probably the most benign thing you could pick up from a Penny Arcade Expo. Just saying. So it's 9 years later. They've moved away. They live in a town called fucking... the town they live in. Rachel is now a little girl. She was like a toddler or a baby or something before. She's a little girl now, and Jane Fear, the mother, keeps calling her Abigail. She keeps getting, confused. Same fears, new home, rich now. Jonathan is our teen romance protagonist. Rachel is being mistaken for Abigail by her mother, who seems to be sliding into some kind of cognitive decline. Ezra is still a dick and no one likes him. Hasn't been able to find the goods. And Jonathan has met a beautiful neighbor girl called Delilah. Delilah Wilson. And she is... Where are you going, sweetheart? She is the other protagonist. Romance protagonist, I guess. So, nothing too bad's actually happened to them yet. I think yesterday's video was pretty much just setting up for, the next series of horrific events. Ezra is a little bitch. Then again, no one's liked him his whole life, so... Now, let's see what cliffhanger we ended up on. Ezra tells Rachel, not Rebecca, but my middle name is Rachel, and Tali's middle name is Rebecca, so that's a very hard and fast thing. You can't confuse them. One of them is definitely owned by somebody, and it's not me. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so Jonathan, at the end of our last chapter, has told Delilah... Why Delilah? Exactly. There is no more pertinent question. Jonathan has told Delilah about the family curse because Rachel let it slip. I always think only grown-ups are called Rachel. I've never met a child called Rachel. I mean, I've met myself when I was a child, but it wasn't my first name. A noise was coming toward the house. Yes. Okay, so he's told Delilah about the curse. Walked her home. Ooh. And had a dream about her. And he wants to bring her a bouquet of flowers tomorrow. But then a sudden noise made him sit straight up. Was it a bear? A wolf? An injured dog? Don't worry, it's not. I don't read out the bits about, dead animals. It was moving swiftly toward his house, nearer and nearer. Now it was right in the yard and coming closer. Jonathan's heart leapt to his throat. It stopped right under his window, and a voice in his head screamed, "Help! Please, somebody help! It is coming to get me!" So, unless Nick has any questions, we will begin. Chapter 9. It's my middle name. I don't have a last name. I've got a first name and a middle name, but no last name. I have 2 middle names. We all do in my family, so that when your mother says your first and middle name, you know that it's time to, stop being a little bastard. When she says your first and both of your middle names, you have a moment to make peace with your God. Yeah. I think that's why we have them. Yeah. I knew I had to knock it off. If my mother looked at me and said, "Corny Rachel," because I go by Courtney still with my family and everything. Corny Rachel. It's time to knock it off. But now, nobody can make me knock it off. Ever. Oh no, Tali can actually, my sister can. But I'm not scared. I'm just compliant. Alright. So Nick, are you happy with the recap? No questions. Cool. Yeah, it's definitely from the Scott side of the family, having 2 middle names. I think it's because grandmas are so powerful, you need to have 2 middle names so one middle name can be for each grandma. The science is ongoing. Chapter 9. His heart thudding in his chest. Jonathan stumbled to the window. The full moon shone on the wide rose trellis, still barren of roses, that climbed the back wall of the house to the second floor windows. He could see the backyard clearly. The wood pile, the new iron pump, the stone well, and the woods surrounding them. What made that horrible sound? He's still doing the Daniel Craig from Knives Out. Jonathan asked himself, trembling all over. Was it only a dream? I kind of want to change it, but I'm not going to. A strange, wild animal. Or was it something more terrible still? He pushed that idea from his mind. Rachel's stories are giving me nightmares, he scolded himself. I was named after a name that my parents liked. And then the grandmothers for the middle names. Silence now. The only sounds were the chirping of crickets and the low hooting of an owl. Still shaken, Jonathan climbed back into bed. He knew he would never get to sleep now. He lay awake all night, listening. See, I'm not so worried about the sound in the backyard. I'm kind of worried about the voice he heard in his head saying, "Please help me, it's coming for me." Like, he doesn't seem to question it. Alright. Hours later, the sky began to lighten, as it does. Jonathan heard his mother pass his room on her way downstairs to begin the day's chores. His father and sister were stirring too. Yawning and stretching, Jonathan climbed out of bed and sleepily made his way to the washstand. He splashed cold water on his face and ran a comb through his shoulder-length brown hair. After tying his hair back with a black cord, he slipped on his knee breeches. I do love point horror and how they have to point out what everyone's wearing all the time. Oh, also there's a huge portrait of Abigail above the fireplace that Ezra painted. He's never mentioned as doing any kind of art, so I imagine it's a really shitty painting. It's like a stick figure with the word Abigail written over it. In the kitchen, Jane Fear was setting dishes on the table. "Good morning, Jonathan," she said brightly. "Would you mind kindling the fire for me?" Jonathan kissed his mother good morning and went to the hearth. He picked up the bellows and puffed air into the glowing embers left over from the night before. Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. Rachel skipped into the room in a brown dress and apron, her blonde curls bouncing. Ezra followed close behind her. As he poked at the fire, Jonathan wondered whether any of them had heard the terrible cries that had awakened him in the night. Rachel appeared to be cheerful and well-rested, but Ezra seemed tired. "Run out to the well and get me a bucket of water, Rachel," said Jane. Abigail. Yeah, it's written, some of the letters are backwards and there's like a handprint on it, but it's a handprint of like a grown man. Yes, Mama, Rachel replied. She opened the back door and headed out to the well. A moment later, blood-curdling cries from the backyard made Jonathan drop the fireplace poker. Wrong instinct, lad. It clattered to the hearth floor as he turned to run outside. Jane and Ezra were right behind him. Rachel stood by the well, screaming hysterically. Her hands, her face, her hair and her clothes were all splattered in red. She got red on her. "Abigail, what is it?" cried Jane. "What has happened?" She keeps mistaking Rachel for Abigail. It's a thing. Rachel ignored her mother. Her eyes fixed and staring, she pointed at the bucket she had pulled out of the well. Peering into the bucket, Jonathan gagged. It was filled with thick, red blood. Wow. You knew, Nick. You knew. I'm sorry, Tom. Whichever you prefer. You knew. Chapter 10. Hang on, let me just scoot ahead a little bit to make sure there's no dead animals. Nope. I always check for Evelyn. Chapter 10. Holding his hand over his mouth, Jonathan reeled backward. Blood! How could the well be full of blood? And bits of sick. Trying not to vomit, Jonathan raised his eyes to his family. Jane was holding Rachel, trying to comfort her. Ezra's eyes were bulging and his hand shook as he clutched his silver pendant. "The curse!" he cried. "The goods have come for us again!" Swallowing hard, Jonathan gathered his courage and reluctantly peered into the well. To his relief, the well water was clean. Only the bucket was filled with blood. What did it mean? "You are not named after God." I think it'd be funny if you named you. It feels like Garth Marenghi sometimes, right? I wish I could do the Garth Marenghi voice. I can kind of write in it, but I can't do the voice. Her arms around her shoulders, Jane gently guided Rachel inside. Ezra nervously rubbed his fingers over the pendant, as if it would help him somehow. "It has happened again. They have found us before we could find them," Ezra said. "There must be goods living nearby. Or buried near here. Remember that time we found one that was buried and it still fucked with us? Goods!" Don't ask me how many days in a row I've been using that mark. It's not important. I don't have to tell you anything without a lawyer present. "Calm down, Papa," Jonathan pleaded. "There's no curse. Look, we're all safe." "Foolish boy," Ezra murmured, and he left his son alone. Still dazed and shaken, Jonathan stared at the bucket of blood. The howl of agony he had heard in the night came rushing back to him. God, he's so close to connecting them. Oh my god, Garth Marenghi is such a fucking delight. You're gonna love it so much. What if God was one of us? Hit the stream like one of us. Just a thumbs up on the bus. Trying to like all of my streams. Yeah, it got away from me. I don't care. Who or what could have done this, he wondered. Was it the work of a crazy person? A wild animal? What the fuck kind of wild animal fills a bucket with blood and then puts it in your well without... You know what? Never mind. Never mind. Could his father be right after all? Could it really be the curse of the goods? Who else do you know who hates you that much? Rachel stayed in her room for the rest of the morning while Ezra paced the house, tense and scowling. I must get out of here, Jonathan told himself. As long as I sit in this house, I shall keep seeing that bucket of blood. He decided to pay a call on Delilah. I found what makes the voice funny again, I think. I didn't have it last time. It was just kind of joyless, if I'm honest. Jonathan gathered wildflowers as he walked down the road to the little farmhouse. Don't call him a slob to his face. He'll do the thing again where he turns everyone into salt. Pythons. Jonathan gathered wildflowers as he walked down the road to the little farmhouse. It was very small, only a cabin really, and shabby, made of brown weathered shingles with only a few small windows and one chimney. Oh yeah, Nick, Delilah has a dress that is patched and worn and not very good, so she's poor. Jonathan figured that out. Kind of proud of him. To the right of the house sat a tumble-down cowshed. A few chickens pecked at the dirt behind a fence. Beyond them were a stand of scraggly fruit trees and an acre or two of stony fields. Clutching his handful of purple and white flowers, Jonathan knocked on the door, and Delilah opened it. "Hello, Jonathan," she said, smiling. "What a nice surprise." As he handed her the flowers, he felt his face grow hot. Love a man with a hot face. She invited him in. A man with shoulder-length grey hair sat at a writing table in the corner of the room. He stood up when Jonathan entered. "Father, this is Jonathan Fear," Delilah said. "Jonathan, this is my father, the Reverend Wilson." Delilah's father gave Jonathan a friendly handshake. "I am very pleased to meet you, young man," the Reverend said. "I plan to call on your parents soon to welcome them." "Oh, they'll be delighted," Jonathan said with a polite bow and a deep curtsy. "Father is working on a sermon at the moment," Delilah said. "Shall we go for a walk?" Jonathan agreed. He and Delilah went outside and strolled through the orchard of fruit trees. In the warm sunlight, Jonathan thought Delilah was prettier than ever. Her cheeks glowed pink, and she had a lively spring to her step. But as she looked at his face, he saw her frown. "You look tired, Jonathan," she said. "Are you feeling well?" Jonathan started to say, "Yeah, of course," but then he thought better of it. Delilah has already heard all about the family history," he thought, "and she is not afraid of me. Not in the least afraid. She is an understanding girl. Perhaps I have found someone I can speak with. At last." "Flora?" "Ah, Flora is the goods of my life." "Hey, Josh, nothing's happened yet." "Oh, wait, yes it has. There was a bucket of blood in the well. Like, the well was not full of blood, just the bucket, so that when the little girl, Rachel, pulled up, a bucket of water, it was actually a bucket of blood, and everyone just flipped their shit. And Jonathan was like, "Did an enemy do this? Or an animal?" It's like, no, Jonathan, an animal did not do that. Don't be an idiot. Anyway, now Jonathan and Delilah are walking together. Something disturbed me last night while I was sleeping," he told her. "A strange and terrifying noise." "A noise?" she asked, puzzled. Partly because that was the only clear word she could pick out from his sentence. "Yes, it was as if some hideous creature was rushing through the woods, heading straight for our house. It drew closer until it seemed to be right under my window, shrieking. And then suddenly, it stopped. Josh wouldn't know if he was a ghost. It would take him like a couple of weeks. No offense, I wouldn't know either if I were a ghost. Maybe I am. Oh, it's not really going to affect things much. What was it? Delilah asked. I do not know, Jonathan replied. When I looked outside, I saw nothing. It must have been a dream, Delilah told him. That is what I decided, Jonathan said. But this morning, Rachel went to the well for water, and when she pulled up the bucket... He paused, wondering if he should continue. Should he say such a shocking thing to a young lady he hardly knew? Delilah stopped walking and faced him. What happened, she asked. What did you find in the bucket? It was full of blood, he told her. Delilah gasped. My father is convinced that it has something to do with a curse, Jonathan said. I cannot help but wonder if he is right. Now Delilah turned her face away. Oh no, she said, walking ahead of him. Were her hands shaking? Jonathan could not be sure. He cannot be right about this, can he, Jonathan? There must be some reasonable explanation. There must be, Jonathan said, even though he once saw a ghost bury his sister alive. Oh yeah, it did take Bruce Willis ages. But then again, he was a psychologist and they're not the most, I'm sure many of them are very nice. Not full of Kool-Aid? No, it was red. Rachel got red on her. There must be a reasonable explanation. There must be, Jonathan said, but I cannot think of one. Do you suppose a wounded animal somehow got into the well? But that does not make sense. There was so much blood, and no sign of an animal. And the well water was perfectly clean. Delilah stopped again and took Jonathan's hand. Took it where? Please, Jonathan, she pleaded. Forget about this curse. Let it be your father's obsession, not yours. Jonathan put his hand over hers. Her skin was so soft. Her words echoed in his mind. Forget about this curse, he thought. That is exactly what I would have said until today. He and Delilah walked on in silence. She is a very sensible girl, Jonathan thought. I am glad we have met. It is so good to have someone to confide in. That night, Jonathan went to bed early and immediately fell asleep. Deep in the night, a noise woke him. Creak. Jonathan's eyes flew open. He listened, holding his breath. It was the dead of night. The house lay bathed in darkness. Creak. Jonathan's heart began to pound. There it was again. Creak. Creak. It came from the hall. His mouth suddenly dry, his temples throbbing. Jonathan slipped out of bed and crept to the door. He put his ear to the door and listened. I really did hear a noise this time, he thought. I am sure of it. Creak. It's like 6 E's. Slowly, silently, he opened the door. The hall was dark. Hey, Evelyn! We're like half an hour in, I can't really recap, but Jonathan is hearing creaking noises in the hallway, and it's nighttime. Okay. Slowly, silently, he opened the door. The hall was dark. He listened to footsteps quietly coming towards him. He peered around the door and into the hall. There it stood. His blood stopped flowing in his veins. At the end of the hall, he saw a vision in white, floating towards him. I love you too. Okay, now we're at the cliffhanger chapter end. Not much more has happened. Jonathan's met Delilah's father, who was a reverend. He's like a minister or something. Rachel has been sent to the well to get some water. She pulled it up. The bucket was full of blood. Just the bucket, not the well. Jonathan thinks an animal might have done it because he's a fucking idiot. And that's pretty much it so far. Like, nothing's really happened. Until now. Chapter 11. Who is it? Jonathan cried, but his voice came out a choked whisper and sounded a little like Foghorn Leghorn. The pale figure whispered, Abigail! Abigail! It floated closer. Jonathan could see a white nightgown and white nightcap, long grey hair flowing underneath it. He heard the footboards creaking under her bare feet. It cannot be a ghost, he thought. Yeah, blood cow put the blood milk in the blood bucket because the blood cows are down there. They're making honey for the queen. But they don't get to eat the honey. It's the queen. She eats the honey. The queen of the cows. The apparition called out softly, Abigail, Abigail, come back. It is Mama, Jonathan realized, alarmed. Alarmed by his own cognitive processes, hopefully. What is she doing? His mother stepped quietly past him, not seeing him. Again she called, Abigail. She is walking in her sleep, Jonathan realized. She started down the stairs and Jonathan followed. I know. You only call me an idiot when it's warranted. When we're playing D&D or talking. She started down the stairs. Jonathan followed. She made her way to the back of the house, the ghostly white gown trailing along the floor. Yeah, the floor. They're not outside. Abigail, she called a little louder this time. Wait for me. She opened the back door. She was going outside. Oh my god, there are so many solves. Good solve, detective. Good solve. Good solve. Jonathan stepped forward and grabbed her arm. Mama, he cried in a trembling voice. What are you doing? She turned around, startled. Her eyes were wide open and full of tears. Well, she is not asleep, Jonathan thought. She is awake, and she knows what she is doing. It is Abigail, his mother whispered, tears rolling down her quivering cheeks. She called to me. She is out there, waiting for me. Jonathan pulled his mother inside and closed the door. No, Mama, he said, desperate to soothe her. You must be dreaming. I am not dreaming, Jonathan. His mother's voice was firm now. She is in the backyard, my little girl. Jonathan opened the door and peered outside. It was a warm, clear night, well lit by the moon. He saw no one outside. No sign of Abigail. No one is there, Mama, Jonathan said. Please, you must go back to bed. He put an arm around his mother's shoulders and began to lead her back to the stairs. She struggled against him. No, she cried. Abigail needs me. Jonathan was stronger and guided his mother upstairs. You cannot go outside. You will catch a cold. You had a bad dream, Mama. That is all, he said. It's just a bad dream. But no matter what he told her, Jane refused to believe that her dead daughter hadn't called to her. She allowed herself to be taken upstairs, but still she was frantic with grief and worry. She went to bed, and at last, exhausted, fell into a deep sleep. Jonathan shut the door to his room and went to his window to look out. The yard, with the woods behind it, stretched quiet and peaceful in the moonlight. The yard. In the morning, the Fear family went about their chores as if it were any other day. Neither Jonathan nor his mother said a word. Damn, that is clever. I actually never saw Johnny Bravo. It came on after I, was done with cartoons. So I guess I would have been 10 or something. I was in a hurry. to, you know, put away childish things. The Fear family went about their chores as if it were any other day. Neither Jonathan nor his mother said a word to anyone about what had happened the night before. It was almost as if it really had been a dream. But Jonathan knew better. Mama has been shaken since Abigail died, Jonathan thought. But it has always been a matter of a momentary confusion. She has never gone this far before. The next night he lay awake, waiting for a noise. Hours passed in peaceful stillness. Jonathan's body began to relax. Then, just as he began to feel drowsy, he heard it. Creak. Abigail! Abigail! Came the whispered cry. He heard his father's heavier tread on the floorboards. Jane, come back to bed, Ezra whispered like a dickhead. You will wake up the children. Jonathan heard his father take his mother back into their room and shut the door. He heard their muffled voices, and then his mother crying. Well, you know, instead of telling people, Jonathan just decided to stay awake all night. Should be pretty easy. Creak. Jonathan's mother stayed in bed all the next day, and the next. But at night she roamed the house, calling for her dead daughter. I want to do something for her, Rachel told Jonathan. Something to cheer her up. Jonathan sighed. He doubted anything he or Rachel could do would make their mother happy. What about the trellis? Rachel suggested. We could plant roses. Someday they will grow so high they will reach her bedroom window. All right, Jonathan agreed. He was glad to get out of the house at least. Jonathan took a shovel and Rachel took a spade. They began to dig holes for the rose bushes. Feeling a light tap on his shoulder, Jonathan whirled around to see who was there. He found himself staring into Delilah's pretty face. Good afternoon, she said. Good afternoon, Jonathan answered. Hello, Delilah, Rachel called. Yeah, try telling her to try not being depressed, to see if she has any hobbies, to try yoga, mindfulness, and B vitamins. And if that doesn't work, then I guess nothing will, probably. We're not talking about the mental health system. Okay. Jonathan wiped his dirty hands on his work pants and wished Delilah had not found him so muddy. Bitch, all my pants are my work pants. Get it? Because I work it. It's slang for when your butt looks good, I suppose. Fuck you. Oh yeah, getting some good sleep. Sleep hygiene is so important. Flora? I keep thinking I hear her. Jonathan wished Delilah had not found him so muddy, but she did not seem to mind. Do you two have time for a visitor? Delilah asked. Of course, Jonathan said. I need a rest anyway, Rachel said. I am tired of digging. Shall we sit in the shade? Jonathan suggested. Jonathan and Delilah sat under an apple tree while Rachel ran off and was soon back with a pitcher of lemon water. Oh, I miss lemon water. There's no reason I can't have lemon water in my fridge, but yeah, there's no reason why I can't. I'm going to buy a lemon tomorrow. And a pitcher. I've come to see how the two of you are doing, said Delilah. I have been worried about you. Jonathan was silent, but Rachel said, Oh, Delilah, Mama is not well. She walks through the house every night calling for Abigail. We think she sees Abigail's ghost. Delilah's eyes widened and she raised her hand to her throat. She turned to Jonathan. Can this be true? It is true that Mama is upset, Jonathan told her. Every night she cries out for Abigail. She says she sees Abigail in the yard, beckoning to her. Delilah sucked in her breath and shut her eyes. This is dreadful, she murmured, almost as if she were talking to herself. Yeah, when you're talking to Jonathan, you're basically talking to yourself. Jonathan leaned closer to her. But I'm sure it is not a ghost, he said to reassure her. Abigail's soul is in hell where the goods took it. Doesn't say that. Please do not worry about us, Delilah. Rachel exaggerates sometimes. I do not, cried Rachel. A bit of colour returned to Delilah's face, and she grew calmer. She could be dreaming, could she not? She suggested. The same dream, night after night? Jonathan sipped his lemon water thoughtfully. He studied Delilah's face, and she smiled at him. She is so brave, he thought. She is trying to make Rachel and me feel better. Yeah, the curse feud allows conjugal visits, ghost-free. I think all family curses do. I think it's in the fine print or whatever. Rachel is afraid of a ghost, and I'm afraid that my mother is going insane. Delilah does not want us to be frightened, so she assures us it is a dream. Jonathan's eyes flew open. It was the middle of the night. Another sound. Mama? Jonathan, came the eerie whisper. Jonathan, beware. Jonathan froze as he stared into the darkness. It was not his mother, but the soft, sweet voice of a girl. I can't do a girl's voice. Who's there? He whispered. Beware, my brother, came the girl's voice. It seemed to be coming from outside the open window, but then that was impossible. Beware, my brother, the voice said again, or your fate will be worse than mine. Jonathan sat up. Rachel, he called. Rachel, where are you? No, whispered the little girl. No, not Rachel. I am Abigail. Oh yeah, I am a girl, duh. Hey, Jessie. It would take far too long to catch you up, but basically everyone's seeing Abigail's ghost right now. Or they think they are. She's threatening him with super hell. Double hell. Chapter 12. Oh look, I can see how many chapters are in the whole book. Oh my god. 45. I know they're very short, but wow. Jonathan jumped out of bed. Abigail, he cried frantically. Abigail, where are you? He froze in the center of the room and listened. Bro, watch out. Bro. Hello? Hello? Flora's here. Good girl. When I become a ghost, it's just going to be to find my phone. It's so annoying. Jonathan froze in the center of the room and listened. No one answered. The voice was gone. His hands trembling, Jonathan lit a candle from the smouldering embers in the fireplace. The candlelight made his shadow rise eerily on the wall. She's busy eating, but she'll come. Jonathan searched every corner of the room. He threw open the wardrobe door and peered inside. No sign of his dead sister. No sign of anyone. It's a little brutal sometimes, isn't it? His heart thumping, Jonathan slumped back onto the bed. Abigail had called to him. Or had she? Had it been another dream? Perhaps Mama's madness is getting to me, he thought, but he quickly dismissed the idea. The voice was real. I did hear Abigail calling me, warning me about something. Then a soft tapping at his door startled him. He leapt to his feet, staring at the door. Should he open it? He had no time to decide. The door squeaked open slowly, and in walked Rachel. Says the kid. It's just you, kitty. Scare. She wore her night shift and cap, her feet bare. Her eyes in the dim candlelight were round with fear. Rachel, what is it? Jonathan asked, his voice a low whisper. I saw her, Rachel cried. I saw Abigail. End of chapter 12. Okay, well that's why there's 45 chapters. Chapter 13. Jonathan rushed to his sister and took her by the shoulders. You saw Abigail? He said. Where? I saw her face outside my window. She called to me, Rachel, beware. But how did you know it was Abigail? Jonathan asked. Do you remember what she looked like? She looked like Papa's picture of her, said Rachel. Remember, he painted a really big picture of Abigail above the fireplace? It was for moments like this. She wore a white cap with blue ribbons, and she was floating outside my window. And then she disappeared. Jonathan let go of Rachel. Maybe Mama really has seen Abigail, he thought. Perhaps she saw what Rachel saw. It had to be Abigail. Abigail's ghost. Abigail had come to warn her family. But of what? And this is just like an asterisk break, where you would think a chapter break would be more appropriate, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We've been going 46 minutes. If you would like to keep going, I'm fine with that. As always, the first vote gets it. Good question. I do not have a drink. God wants me to hydrate. I'm just going to grab some water. No, you've got your food. You're not having more meat. You've got bickies. Thank you. Oh my god, that movie God Followed Me. It came true. Okay. I'm going to call on the Wilsons, Mama, Jonathan told Jane. She sat by the hearth in the kitchen, too tired to move. Let me go with you, Rachel begged. I like Delilah. Not today, Rachel, said Jonathan. Today I won't see her alone. Their mother gave Jonathan a basket of sweet rolls to take with him as a gift. Please send our regards to her father, Jane said. Then she sighed. We should have had them to tea by now, but it has been so difficult. I've been going mad, you see. Tears welled up in her eyes, which she brushed away. Misery had aged Jonathan's mother since Abigail's death. The corners of her mouth sagged, and her eyes were dull and almost colourless. Jonathan noticed that the past few days had sharpened the pain in her face. Apologise to the Wilsons for me, she went on, and tell them that I've been ill. I will, Jonathan promised. The sweet rolls. How many gods do you know flow like this? Exactly. Not many, Aunt Betty. That's what we thought the lyrics were at the time. I don't know if we actually thought that or if we were just trolling the other people at high school or uni or whatever, wherever I was at the time. No, come on, they want to see you. Look, they want to see you. Oh, where's my pretty girl? Where's my pretty girl? You're going to come so they can see more than your tail. Ooh. What's the matter? Ghost stole your sweet roll? That sounds like a Dracula, not a Skyrim. Oh, you're purring. You're purring so much. Kisses, hey? Alright. She's such a good girl. I mean, she's not. She's really naughty, but whatever. He put a hand on her arm and added, "You'll feel better soon, Mama. I know you will." They do. Serana is... I love her so much. I'm not surprised every mod is about Serana. She's the cat's cat, and her name is Flora, even though she's fauna. Oh, it's so funny. She likes it. You like it, don't you? Kiss? She has a certain amount of tolerance for my bullshit. Yes, because you know that I just stop after a little bit and then I'm nice to you. Never hurting you, ever. Sorry, that was just a private conversation we were having. The Reverend Jonathan took the basket and set off down the road to the Wilsons' farm. The Reverend Wilson was working in a field when Jonathan arrived, but Delilah's lively face lifted Jonathan's spirits. And so did her lively breasts. She took the rolls with a smile. "It was so thoughtful of your mother to send them," she said. "How is she?" Jonathan sighed. "No better," he told her. "She still sees Abigail at night. But now at least she is not the only one." Please let me know if this is getting out of hand and you can't actually understand anything Jonathan's saying. "What do you mean?" "Rachel saw her too. And I heard Abigail's voice. She called to me." Delilah dropped the basket and turned her face away. Jonathan saw her shoulders shaking under her faded pink dress. Oh, don't laugh at that, bitch. Okay, good. "Delilah, what is wrong?" Gently, he turned her around, put his arms on her shoulders to stop their shaking, and gazed intently into her eyes. But she lowered her face as if she didn't want him to see her expression. Mwah! I can do anything. She knows I'll never hurt her, so she just lets me do bullshit. I'll stop doing that. When she finally raised her eyes, they were filled with tears. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going a little more slowly, you see. "I am very worried about you, Jonathan," she said. "About you and your family. I would never wish any harm on you. Ever." Yeah, she does have happy little eyes, don't you? Happy little eyes. You got a happy little chin. She do. She does. She's a happy baby. Why wouldn't she be? Jonathan thought she was even prettier than usual, with her eyes shining with tears. Ew. He wanted to throw his arms around her and kiss her. "What are you talking about, Delilah?" he asked. "I know you won't wish harm on us. This has nothing to do with you." He paused, feeling guilty. I should never have burdened you with our problems, Delilah. You are taking them upon yourself. Yeah, I've never found anyone more sexually attractive when they were crying. But the first time for everything, I guess. I hope not. Delilah closed her eyes. My father and I are leaving soon, she said quietly. Perhaps once we're gone. No! Jonathan cried. You cannot leave. Please. He was surprised to hear himself speak these words, especially in that fashion. The idea of Delilah's leaving was painful. He felt as if he'd been punched in the stomach. I'm in love with her, he realized right then. That's what it says in the text. He realized right then. Completely, desperately in love with her. He took her hands in his and demanded, Why must you leave? Please, Delilah, stay here. She lowered her head again. It's for the best, Jonathan. You must believe that. By the end of the week, we will be gone. Delilah, I do not understand. Please, go now, Jonathan, she said with a tremor in her voice. Please, you must leave. He was about to tell her all the things he doesn't understand. He was going to start with eclipses and then just kind of move forward. Birds. What are they? We just don't know. Jonathan made his way from the Wilsons' cottage and trudged home with a heavy heart. He's not a lesbian, but he is 18, so I think we can kind of give him that. A month is a much bigger chunk of his life than it is of mine. Magnets. I love her, he thought miserably. And I know she loves me too. I know it. So why must she leave? Why can't she explain? Why is she so sad and so mysterious? That night, Jonathan waited to hear his mother's whispered cries. He tried to force his eyes open, to remain alert. But after so many sleepless nights, he couldn't stay awake. He drifted off into a heavy and dreamless sleep. He's appropriating lesbian culture. Yeah. Oh my god, I just realized Jonathan probably has no idea that lesbians exist. He probably will never know. Crazy. A lot of people in history probably never knew. That's so crazy. That's double crazy. There's a myth. I don't know if it's a myth or if it actually happened, but somebody brought a bill to Queen Victoria to make lesbian activity illegal. I mean, male homosexual activity was already illegal. And she wouldn't sign it because she didn't believe that existed. Yeah, she was just like, no, people don't do that. That's stupid. I'm not making a law against something people don't do. But now I'm thinking, maybe she did know. I mean, she has so many kids, statistically. Anyway. He drifted off into a heavy and dreamless sleep, not dreaming about Queen Victoria or lesbians or anything. And then, just before dawn, a horrifying scream pierced his sleep-fogged brain. She liked it. She liked the horrified scream. That's the sound of a mother cat calling for its young. And Faithy used to just walk towards me like a Terminator when I was doing it. And then she would climb right up me and then look inside my mouth to find her mother. She never did. Ever. She'd climb right up my chest and look in my mouth. What should be going? Well, you want to see a magic trick? I'm going to make this mother cat disappear. Okay. Terrifying scream. Jonathan jerked straight up in bed. Gross, we didn't hear that. The scream had come from the backyard. He hurried to the window. The first pink light of morning was beginning to show on the horizon. The real mother was the ewe she climbed along the way. Nah, the real mother was Mummy. Flora's the only one who thinks I'm her mother. 'Cause you think I'm your mother. Sorry. Now that I know I can get a reaction out of her, I'm doing it. Let's be grown-ups, hey? Let's do a good stream and be grown-ups and not mess with you. He hurried to the window, blah, blah, blah. First pink light of morning, so on and so forth. Squinting into the yard, he could see nothing unusual. The scream lingered in his mind, echoed in his ears. None of the horrors of the past few weeks had prepared him for the terrible agony in that scream. Jonathan heard footsteps on the stairs. Nothing had prepared him for those terrible footsteps on the stairs. He crept to the door. In the grey light, he saw Ezra and Rachel heading downstairs. Jonathan followed. Where's Mama? He thought. Panic rose in his throat. He pushed it down, swallowed it. No time for panic. Where's Mama? Jonathan followed his father and sister outside. The yard was silent now. But they had all heard the scream. They all agreed it had come from the yard. Where's Mama? Jonathan asked his father aloud this time, where it was probably best. Oh, good. Good. I'm really glad you enjoyed the cat petting and kisses, because I can't not do it. And I feel like I'm just kind of wasting people's time. I'm not wasting time. I'm not wasting nobody's time. I'm just kissing the little better. Because you like having a kiss. I'm just going to angle you so that people can see your face more better. Oh. She says, no, don't make me content. I refuse. Where's Mama? I do not know, Ezra said. That scream woke me up and she was not there. I cannot help but think. Ezra glanced at Rachel. He did not finish his sentence. Do not worry, Papa, Jonathan said. We'll find her. For hours they searched the house, every inch of it. Jane was not there. The sun was rising above the trees now. They dressed quickly and returned to the yard, searching around every bush, behind every tree. Rachel stood at the edge of the woods, calling for her mother. Jonathan felt tired and discouraged. What could have happened to my mother? He wondered. How could she vanish into thin air? Well, Josh, let's just see what the narrator says. His mouth felt dry as cotton. He made his way to the well for a drink. As he tugged on the rope to pull up the bucket, the rope felt strangely heavy. A wave of dread swept over Jonathan. Papa, he called hoarsely, come help me pull up the whale bucket. That kind of veered into offensive hillbilly. Ezra narrowed his eyes at Jonathan but said nothing. He stepped beside his son. Together, their faces set in hard concentration, they heaved on the rope. It is so heavy, Papa, Jonathan said, pulling with all his strength. I cannot imagine. One final tug. Jonathan gasped in disbelief. And then he started to scream. She knows I'm messing with her. Yeah, if she sat still for her cuddles and kisses, like for an hour, don't do that. Oh, remember when Niobe was too shy to come inside, and we would have like Niobe cam? I would put it down there, and she would like tentatively walk in through the door and eat her food and get a cuddle. Like, She wouldn't go further than just that little area inside the door. Oh, the vet nurse was really sad to hear that Niobe was, you know, wherever she is. She put a little note on her file to be like, you know, cat's been missing for a while, but like, I guess keep an eye out for the microchip. But it was so cute. It was adorable. Now, I think some of you might be able to guess what happened at the end there, but it's actually a good place to end it. Oh wait, no it isn't. No it isn't. One more chapter. One more chapter. Yeah, her purring was amazing. Once, like, she didn't do it. She didn't purr or meow or anything, and she became really vocal. It was like I taught her how to talk to me. It's crazy. I love that cat. Chapter 14. Jonathan's scream roared over the yard. What is it? What is it? Rachel cried shrilly, running to the well. Where's my red flag? This'll do. Red flag means that I'm describing some gory or graphic content. And then blue flag means I've stopped. Okay? Yeah, you did love her too. A lot of people loved Niobe who never met her in person. And it was... I know she didn't understand, but it meant a hell of a lot to me. Anyway, red flag. Jonathan was too horrified to reply. Too horrified to move. Well, they're not actually flags, they're crop tops. Does that help? Too horrified to pull his eyes away from the gruesome sight before him. At the end of the well rope, sprawled over the bucket, was the body of his mother. Her skin was blue and bloated, her wet hair plastered against her skull and face. Yeah, they tend to go together. Her soaked nightgown clung tightly to her lifeless form. No! 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 Jonathan's sobs wrenched his throat. Blue flag. Mama, Rachel whispered. Mama, why? Oh, it isn't. Oh my God. Oh, Josh. Oh, that's such a bad joke. I love it. That was perfect. Jonathan's father held onto the bucket with both hands. His eyes were shut. His lips moved in a silent prayer. Can anyone guess what he's praying? No! No! Trying to turn his gaze away, Jonathan saw something. Something gripped tightly in his mother's closed fist. He reached down and pried open the cold, bloated fingers. Oh! Jonathan gasped when he saw it. I'm allowed to, Nope. Nope. Drooned. Jonathan gasped when he saw it. A white cap with blue ribbons. Yeah, there's no more gruesome shit, so I put flags away. Oh my God, this is so cute. Look, check this out. It's a little crop top with hearts on it, but the buttons are also hearts. It looks like that shop that we went to, Evelyn, except I did not pay $60 for this. I paid much less, and the internet took a while to ship it to me. But it's so pretty on, honestly. Sorry. Mama, Rachel repeated. She dropped to her knees in front of her mother and began to sob. Without a word, Jonathan helped Ezra lift Jane's body and set it down on the grass. Can that really be my mother? Jonathan asked through a blur of tears. Can that really be my mother? So cold, so still. He picked up his little sister and carried her, sobbing, into the house. There's no doubt in my mind now, Jonathan thought later. The Theo family is cursed. I did not want to believe it. But Papa has been right all along. The hair prickled on the back of his neck, much like it just did to me. In a flash, Jonathan suddenly understood. Delilah's strange sadness, her sudden desire to leave, to get away from the fears, it all fell into place like the pieces of a puzzle. Jonathan ran past where his father sat slumped at the table, his head buried in his hands, and out into the yard. Rachel's face appeared in her bedroom window. "Where are you going?" she called down to him. Jonathan did not answer the traumatized child. Oh, sorry, her. Instead, he started to run. Glancing back, he saw Rachel following him, but he didn't stop to send her home. Jonathan ran down the road to the Wilsons' farm. Delilah was in the yard, feeding the chickens. As he came into view, she dropped the sack of feed. He grabbed her hands and held them tight. "Delilah, my love," he cried breathlessly. You must tell me your secret." She stared at him, startled. Rachel arrived, panting, holding her side from running so hard. Jonathan ignored her. He did not care who was there, who heard what he had asked. He had to know if he was right. He had to know now. "I already know your secret," he told Delilah. "Just tell me yourself." He gazed deeply into her brown eyes. "Yes," she replied quietly. "I can see it in your face, Jonathan. You know my terrible secret, don't you?" She shut her eyes, a tear falling onto her cheek. "I am a good," she confessed. Maladetta. Yeah, exactly. I wasn't born with it. It is Maybelline. See? You see why that was a better place for us to stop? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ezra's just going Dominatio per malum, Dominatio per malum. Like, you can get any power through apples. Ridiculous. Shock, horror. What? Delilah? The only girl in the book that's not his sister. So, good place for us to stop. Yeah. This is chapter 23 of 45, by the way, so don't get put off by the 45 chapters. More like a bad. Yeah, exactly. A good place for a stop. I just got that. Fuck. God, you got me again. Thank you all so much for watching this. I have had very few side effects from my COVID vaccine, so I'm assuming the next one is the one that's going to make me sick, because people seem to have reported that one or the other of them makes them feel like they've got the flu. Oh, I have to show you something though first. I buy little $1 and $2 things on AliExpress, okay? Because I see things and I love to give my friends gifts, right? Well, my friends who I know in real life, because using the post office is kind of a hassle. So, is Maddie here in the thread? Minty, are you there? Keep your arm relaxed and don't flex your arm for 48 hours. How am I going to pick up babes if I can't flex my arm? Use your mind. Okay, I don't know if Maddie's here, but these arrived for her. Well, don't tell her about them. Can you... They're Kermit earrings. And the eye is busted on one of them, but she'll be able to fix it. Yeah, they are awesome. I'm going to take a photo of them and put it on Twitter before I... But that's not all. Oh, yeah, she may scream, but And excuse me being a little bit unladylike right now, but she is going to shit her ass when she sees these. That's right, they're earrings. They don't squeak, but I'm sure you could make them somehow. That is just so Maddie. Yeah. Right? Oops. So I'm going to take a picture of them and then hopefully get a picture of Maddie wearing them. That'd be great. So, okay. Huh? I got the ghost of a real duck in me. Weak. That one's just a normal one. You're making a noise like you know that, right? Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Why are you the ghost of a duck, though? I had unfinished business regarding breadcrumbs. Great. I'm gonna give her haunted earrings that are also fucking boring. Okay, fine. You're not boring. Oh, ducks can bite. Okay. Thank you very much for... It didn't actually bite me, see? I'm just pretending. Thank you very much for joining me. Yes, I believe I could do a Twitch stream where you could ask my evil hands something. My evil hands are like a bit that I do for Danny to cheer her up. They have the voices that sound kind of like the old man on Family Guy, but they're not meant to sound like that. They sound like the two old fishermen in the E1 episode Go Fishing. Kind of an obscure episode of a kind of obscure podcast. Not the best reference point, but I'd like to do a Twitch where I do the evil hands. I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, it would be funny, but I need to get some like rings that look like eyes. Oh wait, I did. That's right. This is actually a gift for Evelyn, but she won't mind if I use it for this. And spoil the surprise. I got you a mood ring, but the stone in the middle is an eye. So when you put it on, and you got an evil hand. I'm waiting for the lag so I can see if you can actually see it. Oh, this way. Can you see me now, Danny? Can you see my beautiful blue eye? It's looking right at you, ain't it, Danny? You keep moving off camera, you piece of shit. You gonna wash away you touch me. Yeah, we've had this discussion before. Don't go telling them nothing. YouTube can be used as evidence. You don't even know when you're looking at the camera. Like, that eye doesn't even work, it's just a fucking ring. And it's changing colour, presumably to show that I'm pissed. Oh, you're gonna sleep real well tonight. You're gonna sleep real deep. And you're gonna wake up tired. Great. Thank you guys. Great. Now this is happening again. Some mornings you just wake up real tired. Some mornings you wake up with leaves in your hair and mud on your bare feet. Some mornings you wake up full. Sorry. Alright. We're done. I'm going to take the eye off. Weirdly, when I was doing Evil Hands, the mood ring went a different colour to it, what it normally does, lending credence to the possibility that they are real. We won't talk about the Evil Hands right now, but I'm sure I'll be able to do a Twitch stream for you guys where they can answer all kinds of questions about what they do when I'm asleep and I wake up tired. Mr. Magic Hands' evil dog. That sounds good. Me and my best friend Lee at school, we wrote in the margins of our science book, we wrote stories about Fred and Annie. Fred was a horse and Annie was a girl with no legs, and they were trying to become a centaur or something. And they liked apples, and at the end of every story they got new phones. This was the kind of thing we thought was funny. We were 14, but it was quite funny. Alright, I'm gonna go wash my evil hands, wear your evil masks, and be good to each other. And if you can't be good, be clever. See you guys tomorrow. Good night. Good night. Don't wake